My name is Harris Reed. I'm a gender fluid fashion designer, and I have the immense pleasure of speaking with Veronica Etro for the In Conversation with Matches Fashion.
Hi to everyone. I'm Veronica Etro, creative director of Etro, and I'm so glad to talk to Harris today and to have this lovely chat with him.
Well, I guess, should we just jump into the questions, I guess?
Yes.
I'm super honored to be here with you and to kind of discuss and speak and have like really hopefully a fabulous conversation about, you know, all the incredible things that you do, fashion, get a lot of insight. And I'm really kind of excited. So I guess my first thing I would love to talk about is, you know, obviously Etro is a family-run business. How have you navigated the balance between inheriting Etro and making it your own?
I started working with Etro very, very early. I mean, my very first memory was when I was 5. And my father used to bring me to the office on Saturdays because he was coming there. And I remember a lot of swatches, colors, glue, scissors, watercolors, high stools. And for me, really, it was really a playground.
And then of someone who has grown up with the Instagram kind of generation, you know, going through Central St. Martin's, graduating during a global pandemic, basically using this phone in my hand to basically have a career. How important is it for you to use social media for Etro?
I mean, for me, I'm quite a very shy person. So I'm not, I just have a secret thing and I'm a voyeur. 2018, we celebrated our 50th anniversary and we did an exhibition at Moodec, which was Museum of Culture. Before that, I think we kept on working so much, doing beautiful products, but I think we were producing a lot and not communicating anything. I mean, we were like closed in our castle here. And I think with this exhibition really opening itself to the last 50 years and everything was a bit a kick to let's start and really communicating. We're working so much now on Instagram, on TikTok even. I mean, there's so much.
Oh my, TikTok,
so there's so much. I mean, I'm learning because there's so much to learn about. Everything is very democratic. I mean, it's a way, as you said, you can show your collection, you show what you do for everyone. It's a way of creating your, even on Instagram, it's like having your own TV channel. It's like creating your own storytelling, and it's tough. I mean, even to be a creative director today, you're dealing with so much. It's not just about the collection.
There's a vulnerability, and it's like this, you know, I think for me, I think of all the people I went to school with, and even myself, Instagram is a place now where you are putting everything out there. And like you said, it's for a lot of positive, but also for a lot of ridicule and for a lot of, you know, haters and people to say things. So I always find it interesting, you know, for Etro, as, you know, obviously a bigger brand than myself, I, you know, even struggle a bit because people really want to see that transparency. You know, I'm always showing on my stories, oh, it's me and my small team sewing, it's in London, I'm getting fabric, I'm crying because the DHL man never came, so Lady Gaga never got her outfit, I'm sobbing. You know, I love it because it shows that transparency, but also I think at the same time, you know, you post something or you use something, you do something, or you misspeak slightly, people can immediately kind of attack. And it's an amazing platform, but it's also like, instead of maybe a fashion show or something else where there's a bunch of preparation, if you're kind of showing a lot of stuff on social media, sometimes, you know, people can just kind of jump on it and be a bit like aggressive.
But you're doing very well, I see. I love your things you do on Instagram.
I think for me, right, I think my generation, what I'm realizing a lot is it's so about transparency and like I said, where everything's from, but even more so, you know, what's the messaging behind this? I think the years of doing tokenism for using a model of color or using a gay queer person just to use them is over. Now it's really about, if you're going to work with someone with, you know, a diverse background or in the queer community, like actually understanding their story, who they are, what they bring to the brand. You know, someone like you who's just, you know, clearly so passionate about the brand, you know, takes the time to speak to a queer creative like me, like, you know, people who are really making a difference and brands that are really investing interest instead of, you know, having a casting director go to a big brand, sign off some model or collaboration and then never speak actually to the person. I think now is a time where I'm realizing when you know, posted that honest transparency on Instagram, people really respond to that and they really respond.
Yeah. I think I agree totally, because I think it's a moment of emotions. That's the positive thing I think about fashion.
But how do you balance, you know, the brand's history and, you know, keeping it also very youthful and relevant. Because I feel like that must be, a lot of brands right now don't have heritage, and obviously Etro has a crazy heritage. How do you balance that with your your new way of thinking?
I'm very aware that Etro has a very strong heritage. I mean, very recognizable. Etro, I think, is not just one thing. Even if I think about the paisley design, sometimes I think it can be very aristocratic, very traditional, but at the same time, it can be very psychedelic and very pop rock. I like to play with the surprises, let's say. I think with after COVID, there is less fear in experimentation, I think, in creativity. I think it's the moment where you can break rules. Let's break the rules. Because we're not working in a band, we're having fun, and that's the most important thing. No?
I mean, literally, you just answered so many things I was going to ask you, because I think one of my things was going to be, how important is custom to the Etro brand? I think you answered it so beautifully, because, you can take risks, you can work with, Manskin's a great example of a band that, for me, it also put Etro on the radar again. For me, I've always respected you as a brand, but seeing them, in the crystals and, the mesh, and then seeing them in the leather and all of the, the lace up. And I was like, oh my God, this is so this is crazy. And then, but I think it still fits so much in your playground and so much in the Etro DNA because of the leather and because of the bohemian and the flares. And, so, well, one question I would actually love to know as well is, how do you know when to say no? No to opportunity?
I have to think about this question. I just feel it. I don't know. There's a feeling. I think in many things, and because I think our work is made of decisions, and many decisions per day. I'm used to take decisions. I'm not afraid of them, but I think I must say that with my work, I keep the flow always very natural. I think there is a way, even when creating collection, that you sort of have a thread that at the end you understand why everything is coming to place and why you chose this and not that. I think it's important to not to be too ruled up and not to be too strict with yourself, and to let emotions flow and to let feelings flow. So I feel, when I said a big no yesterday, for instance, because I saw some images, they weren't right. I just felt, I saw one thing and said, okay, no, it's not the right direction. Let's change. What happens to you? I
really was curious to know, because, I think being a young designer, it's full of, probably you have more questions coming, but I think it's a lot of people being like, you should do this, you should show like this, you should do this kind of showroom, and I think I'm very much the generation that's kind of breaking a lot of the rules. And I think a lot of the old systems that were in place for fashion and fashion designers aren't relevant anymore. So I find myself really constantly, just if my gut feels like it doesn't feel like it's on my path, so you say this thread that ties it together, I always kind of say no, but I know that I say no a lot, because it doesn't feel right to me, or if the person I'm working with or collaborating with, or the talent or the fabric, if it's not feeling right in my gut, I just instantly say no and I drop it. And I don't know if that's because I'm 25, but I feel like it's, knock on wood, it's done me good so far. And I've said no to something that maybe there was some money there, or there was this thing, but it just didn't feel right, it tended to work out in a way better way. That brings me into, for me, I've always looked at fashion as being art. It's something that I think, it really inspires people. I know it's a very kind of a topic that people have different opinions on, but I would love to know how, you and the Etro house, balances the art side of fashion, if you believe that fashion is art, with your e-commerce, and with, obviously, you have to make money for the brand to employ people, you have, people that rely on you. So, how do you balance kind of that art and e-commerce?
For me, when I think fashion is surely part of art, it's a way of dealing. Although it gets inspired by art, but when I work even with prints, for me, each season it's like having a blank canvas, because you have to deal and decide with proportion, techniques, color combination, subjects. There's so much going on that it's like a painting sometimes. But I still want to keep part of the collection emotional, which means it's play of balance, I must say. I prefer to see my clothes, all the creations. I love to see when they're on the street and not just on the catwalk. And what I love even sometimes is to see how people mix and match the thing. I never want to sort of dictate rules, or it's not my aim. It's just suggestion. And I love to see how people make it their own, how they personalize, how they mix prints, maybe with things of different collection. I think that's important because clothes are your second skin. So it's part of you. It's important that you make it your own.
And so, for me, I'm all about upcycling, and, even my new collection, it's all about, taking old existing garments and making something new. What is Etro's kind of angle on sustainability?
It's not easy because when you start talking about fashion and sustainability, there are two things, they're quite opposites. But the good thing is that we're starting to get into the mood of really dealing with things. I must say that my brother Keen actually dealt with sustainability since 2000. We actually did a label which is called Benetro Essere, which is good well-being of Etro in a way. And he started with the men's. We started doing products with hemp, nettle, bamboo, fabrics. He was seen as a crazy thing because it was maybe too early.
Yeah.
And people were just saying, I mean, even in our family, he was looked as, you're mad. What you're talking about sustainability, nettle, bamboo, and things. There's so much to do. So much, because I don't even want sometimes to talk because it's a very fashionable topic in a way. And I always want to be prepared in a way because in everything I do, I want to be real and authentic. So I think it's important to talk about those topics when you really have something real to say. I mean, because there's so much to research, to work on it. Care is important. Care for the planet, care for the people, care for inclusivity, all these things of being really of caring. That's the most important thing today. I think in fashion has to care about our animals, our globe, individuals. It's about love.
Well, I think I was gonna say love and mindfulness.
Exactly. I think
we're growing, and I think you guys have always been so amazing about, even speaking about your brother, in the 2000s, working all these things that are now what everyone is trying to kind of mimic and copy and do. So, I think like you said, it's, fashion is here. I mean, and then sustainability is so the two words for me, I never saw them going together. And I think it is become this fashionable thing to talk about. But I think as long as we're being mindful and trying to work that into our work, and, I think it's quite an exciting future we have ahead.
But are you coming in September to Milan?
I'm coming in September to Milan to see this show, so no pressure. I'm gonna be there, like being like with embroidery. No, I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited.
I'm so happy to have you. So I look forward to hug you when you come, even with your masks.
Me too. Well, it's been such an honor. Thank you so much, Veronica. And
it was really really nice to chat with you, and really hope to go on when we see each other in September.